Cahirley. I want to give my broad support to this road traffic bill before the House. It's very important to support a measure which will help to reduce the number of fatalities on Irish roads and bring other improvements to boot. There are very few things where I would, ways in which I would be happy with the actions of the previous government, but they do deserve some credit for the fact that we've had this 48% decline in road deaths between 2001 and 2010. Although at 212 last year, it's still 212 too many, and I mean the amount of anguish, pain, and heartbreak for families it's hard to understand, and it lasts really for years. A report I looked at recently in relation to Australia indicated that by going from 80 milligrams per 100 millilitres of blood down to 50 in Australia led to significant reductions in fatal accidents there by, they reckon, about 18% in Queensland and 8% in New South Wales. And for that reason, I think it's essential to support this proposal. In relation to learner drivers, I support the 20 milligram limit per 100 millilitres. However, in relation to professional drivers, I would ask that the Minister might look at that aspect of it again, because I think the same limits should apply for professional drivers as for drivers in general, because if it's safe to have 50 milligrams in your blood for a non-professional driver, the same should be the case for where a professional driver is concerned. And even if the Minister ends up disagreeing with me on this, I think I would still ask that you go for a consistent position, even if that means going down to the 20. But I would ask you to consider that issue. In relation to dangerously defective vehicles, obviously I support this legislation too. However, I do want to just add a note of caution, because I'm conscious of the fact that people driving defective vehicles are often doing so due to poverty on their part. For that reason, it's important to keep costs for such drivers as low as possible, especially if they live in rural areas. And to give a specific example, I think it's important that the price of the NCT be kept as low as possible. And it would be helpful if NCT centres would only bring people back if there's something that needs to be fixed, which will have a definite impact on road safety. Because sometimes it can be brought back for something that is trivial and doesn't really have an impact on road safety. I fully support them insisting that a vehicle comes back if it is to do with road safety. For this legislation to work, it's important that two things are done. The first is obvious to everyone: guard enforcement. If that's not done regularly, especially at the beginning, people will take chances and the value and effectiveness of the legislation will be undermined. And I think a second point is also important. If the acceptable blood alcohol limit is no more than 50 milligrams per 100 millilitres of blood, it's vitally important that people are educated about how much they can safely drink. Okay. Just in conclusion, sorry, I thought I had a few more minutes. I thought I had 10 minutes, but
sorry, you have 1 minute actually. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
Right. Just in relation to that point, I think it's important that people, for example, that ads go out indicating that, you know, if you have a pint, it's not safe to drive for an hour or whatever the length of time is. And I think it would be really important that an education package comes with after the introduction of this legislation, so people know how long they need to wait after having a social drink. I'll leave the other points except to say just one broad thing, that I think we need to to think carefully in terms of how we're going to organise society, given the rightful introduction of legislation like this. And the more people can avail of things like local pubs that are within walking distance, the better. So probably we need, in the context of the cities, we need to get away from these very large pubs where people have to drive to, and try to go back to a situation where people can, say, walk to a pub that's, say, 5 or 10 minutes from them. And I think in relation to rural areas, if anything can be done to encourage, say, publicans to organise minibuses to bring people out, the better. Because, I mean, while it shouldn't always be, while drink shouldn't always be involved in social occasions, it sometimes is, and it's important that people can get there safely. Thank you.